I want to talk quickly about the value of a model in the MVC context, and specifically talking about ASP.NET MVC. What I want to show you is I have, to begin with, a car controller. And in my controller folder, it has just one method on it called index, and it returns nothing to the view. And in my views folder, in my car folder, I have an index view associated with that index method. And it has nothing in it really. Fairly blank HTML. And so over here in my controller, what I want to do, actually I'll start over here in the model. So I'm going to create a brand new model. And I'm going to right click on models and click add new. And a model is just a class. I think people think of it more than that, but it is just a class. And it's a plain old C# class. I'm going to call this one car data. A model is meant to store the data that I want to exchange between my controller and my view. We'll see an example of that. I'm going to call it car data, and it's just a plain old C# class. And I'm going to put a couple fields in it. I'm going to create one called, it's a string that's going to be called name of my car. I'll call another one called make of my car, and I'll put one called age of my car. I'm going to make it an integer. So this is a fairly basic class. All a class does is describes something. So I have this car data. These are the three fields that describe my car data. And I'm going to be done with my model. But this is the thing I'm going to send. This car data is the thing I'm going to send between my controller and my view. So I'm going to close this out. I have my controller up here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to instantiate a new copy of car data. So I'm going to say var my car equals a new car data. And it doesn't know where car data came from, so I'm going to use Visual Studio to add that using statement for me. And then I'm going to populate that car data. My car dot age, I'll start at the top, is going to be 5 years old. My car dot name is going to be Durango. And my car dot make will be Dodge. Got a Dodge Durango, 5 years old. And all these 4 lines of code are doing is instantiating a car data class and then setting some of their properties. So far, nothing's getting to my view. All it's still doing is returning view. If I want to send this car data to my view, I have to do 2 things. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to send it to my view from my controller. So I'm in my controller method. I'm returning view. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to return my car, which is an instance of car data, and all the properties that are associated with it. I'm going to return that to the view. That's the first thing I have to do. My car is the model of data. It is the model that I'm sending to my view. The other thing I have to do is I actually have to open up that view. So over here on the far right, I have my views folder. I got a car folder, and in this index view, I'm going to open that up. It's a fairly blank HTML. The second thing I have to do here is I have to let the view know what type of data is coming in. Well, car data is the type that's coming in, and it doesn't know where to get that, so I'm going to fully qualify it by coming back to, or going to my model. I'm going to open up my model, and I'm going to copy the namespace location. That's where my car data class lives. I'm going to copy the namespace location, and I'm going to just prefix the car data with its namespace. So that makes the view, this index CS_HTML view, know about the type of data that is coming in. A car data type is coming in as model. Then what I can do is I can start to use Razor syntax to write those values out. In fact, I'll just do it simply with Razor. I'm going to go model dot. Now notice it knew what type of data I was going to be sending in, because on line 1 it knew I was sending in a car data. So I'm gonna send my model dot name. I'm gonna write that out, and then I'm gonna write out model dot make. Actually, I might switch these around. I'm gonna put make first and then name. So this should be Dodge. This should be Durango, and then I'm gonna write out the age. We'll see what this looks like when it makes the HTML. In order to know these values, I had to tell the view what kind of data was coming in as the model. And in order to send that model to this view, I had to do that in the controller. I had to send this model to the view. And I could have called this anything. Maybe I could have called this, I'll right click and rename. Just for clarity, I could have called this model. The model that I'm sending to my view is of type car data. Now I don't have to change anything over in my view because it's still a car data that's coming in. It's a car data class that's coming in. This name, this friendly name, this variable name that I gave it, doesn't matter. It's just what I'm passing through as the friendly name. But model is definitely of type car data. This new instantiation is making model, setting it to an instance of a car data. And then it's sending that model to my view in this line, and my view is receiving it over here. Without this model, I'll delete it. All of a sudden, it's not going to understand what might be in the model. I admit model dot, it has no idea what's coming in. So I'm going to Control Z that out. If I left this alone and in my controller and I didn't send the model, it would never write out anything because the model wouldn't have anything. It would be null. Now I'm sending this model in, and I'm going to go ahead and run this page. I'm going to go to my view, and I'm going to go ahead and run it. And it's going to my car controller, my index view, and it wrote out Dodge and Durango and 5. The only way this data got to my view is through passing that model. The model is accessed in the view, but it's sent from the controller to the view here. Hopefully that gives you an idea of where models come into play in the model view controller, because models are the thing that where you send data from your controller to your view, and only the data that's part of your model is accessible in your view. Hopefully that helps you understand the important role that the model plays.